Okay, let's dive in. So I think that the second question people ask me most often is, how do I price my services? Any idea what the most popular question might be? Any guesses? Any ideas? Let me see. Let me open up the chat here. See if you guys are guessing. How do I get clients? Where do I start? Yeah, so you hit the nail on the head, Jamie. It's like, oh, how do I start, or where do I get started as a financial coach? That's essentially the first question. So we're going to tackle the challenge of setting your prices today. And I'm curious, go ahead and tell me in the chat, what do you think is the most important or most crucial factor in determining your prices? Tell me what you would guess it is. Value. Value for my time, not to devalue your services so people take you seriously. How many clients you have, the results you deliver, the client putting skin in the game. These are all great answers. These are all really good guesses. What I need to make in a month and how much I want to work. It's a good one. So true, Sherry. Your confidence, the digit at the end, LOL. Yes, that's so true. It is part of it. Jacqueline says the number 8. Okay, now you guys are officially poking fun at me. Okay, so it's actually your confidence, and it is your own belief in that price that you're charging and your ability to deliver results. Not your ability to deliver results, your belief in your ability to deliver results. So I want to make sure that is super clear, okay? I have seen coaches who charge next to nothing but deliver insane value to their clients. Jacqueline's raising her hand. 100% Jacqueline over there, you guys. And we still hired her for our team. So that goes to show you can be amazing and still not charge enough for your services. The clients get amazing results, and yet the coach struggles with charging more. I have seen coaches charge a boatload of money, thousands of dollars per month for their coaching, deliver very little in comparison to other coaches, and yet they continue getting people who will pay that fee, okay? And vice versa, and everything in between, okay? So what we see as being totally normal is the coach who is just starting out, who thinks and believes they can help people, but they haven't yet seen the proof, or they haven't yet experienced those massive changes in clients yet. So you want to believe it, but you don't actually have the proof yet in that belief. Maybe you've helped a few clients and you're seeing results, but you're still telling yourself it's a fluke thing. You have got some doubts in your mind on whether or not you can continue repeating those results. And time again, with every client into the future, you're just not sure if it's something you can keep doing. So while you have some proof, you don't necessarily have enough yet to really feel confident. So you still question whether or not the next client will be the one who doesn't see progress, right? So that lack of confidence, that nervousness, the self-doubt absolutely makes it so you think, well, I'm just not going to charge a lot just in case, right? Just in case I can't deliver on this. Nicole says thousands a month. I need some more confidence. Yes. So the best way to price your services is value-based pricing. So in this strategy, you think about all the outcomes and the results that you can get your clients, okay? So, and you really wanna think about, I gotta close some stuff on my screen. I got way too much happening here. Okay. You wanna think about the outcomes and the results that you directly get a client. You wanna think about the external and internal benefits though. So for example, an external benefit is somebody having a budget or a plan for their spending. That's something that they get. The internal benefit of that is that they feel in control, They feel more proactive. They feel more intentional with their decisions. That's the internal benefit. Another external benefit is someone becomes debt-free. An external benefit is money saved, or interest or minimum payments are gone off their budget. Internally, maybe they have peace of mind, more security, they feel more in control, and they can put their money behind what's most important to them. But what I want you to do is start by writing out all the benefits and the results and those outcomes that the client gets from directly working with you, okay? Then I want you to ask yourself, what is the impact of those results? So what impact will those benefits have on their life, on their career, their relationships, their health, their sleep, their self-worth, their excitement toward life in general? Imagine the impact is that they are happier, maybe they're healthier, they're more engaged in life, right? And because they're putting money behind what's important to them, they feel more fulfilled and more confident overall. They feel more content in life overall. Then ask yourself, what is the impact that impact has on others in their life? What is the ripple effect that creates? This slide, so you know my ability to design amazing PowerPoint slides, this is supposed to be a ripple effect. In case you guys are not getting that, that's what this is, okay? So, are their children happier? Does their spouse begin to realize his or her own dreams too? If the person has a profession that helps others, are they able to create even more positive results in their clients' lives because they themselves are happier and can be more focused when they're in front of that client? Are they able to volunteer more or donate more to their church or to other charities as a result of working with you? So chances are, by doing this exercise, you can begin to see that it actually could be possible to charge thousands of dollars a month for your services. The impact we can have, that ripple effect, you guys, is so significant. I feel like my services, my coaching is priceless. I truly feel that way. Now, that does not mean I charge thousands of dollars a month. And we're going to talk about next, like, what do we do with this information, once we calculate it. It's not that simple, right? Like, people say, well, you just charge what you're worth and own your value and all that kind of stuff. And it's not that simple. I know that it is not that simple. I've also had experience with witnessing these results firsthand. So the results that I get clients year after year, client after client, appointment after appointment, this doesn't just sound good to me. This ripple effect right here, like everything I just described, I don't just think it's possible. I have seen it. I have witnessed it firsthand. And that is where a lot of that confidence comes from. So I first simply want you to recognize the ripple effect of your services. That does not mean that you're going to go out tomorrow and charge thousands of dollars per month. Okay, I don't, right? You can if you want. I'm not going to hold you back from that. One of the things I tell people in the academy all the time is, if you charge more than me for your coaching, that is a good thing. Don't ever feel like you can't. Okay, sometimes people see what I'm charging, they think that's the most they can possibly charge. That is not true. Okay, you can absolutely do more if you want. So I just want you to believe that this is possible. Okay, I want you to just start here believing that this is sort of the high end of the possibility of what your rates could be. Okay, that's why we do this exercise. This helps you establish the high end. It is not where you will most likely start, just so you guys know. So what we want to do is, really quickly, the reason I want you to start there is because I want you to appreciate that the sky is the limit with your prices. Okay, that way, when you fall short of priceless, you'll actually feel like it is the best damn deal around. Right? Like, you coaching somebody for less than thousands of dollars a month is actually an amazing deal for your client. Okay. So from there, we actually want to go to the other end of the spectrum. We're going to determine your bare minimum pricing. So the first thing that we want to do is, what we're trying to do is evaluate, what do you need to make? So using a mathematical formula can be really helpful for one big reason, is it can help you determine your bare minimum price so that at least you know your starting point. You do not want to go into this business and have it be where you are paying people essentially to be serving them well, okay? That could, you know, lead to resentment, burnout, frustration, not something you can do for a very long time. It's not going to help you achieve your own personal goals, and we do not want that for you, okay? So here's how you do this. Number one is figure out all of your expenses in your business. So things like Zoom or Acuity. At first, you may not have a lot of these, so they will likely grow over time, and that's okay. We're going to be reevaluating these two spectrums over and over and over again, okay? So all you're doing is right now thinking about this, is what are all the expenses that I have for my business? Maybe it's a domain fee or, you know, part of your cell phone or something like that. That's step one. Step two, add in how much you want to pay yourself. And again, this isn't forever. This isn't 5 years from now, what do you want to be making from your business? This is sort of like the next 6 months or year out. What would you like to be paying yourself from your business? My recommendation is to start with something. You can pay yourself 50 bucks a month from your business if you want. You can do 20 bucks a month, but do something, because it's always easier to change the dollar amount once the habit is in place versus try to add a bigger paycheck amount later when you haven't been doing anything. Okay. So just tell yourself, what would I love to pull from my business? Maybe, you know, one of the things that we oftentimes look at with business owners who aren't taking paychecks is, what is one category of your personal expenses that you would love to say is covered by your business every single month? So maybe it's a travel fund. Maybe it is your kids' activities, right? Or like a hobby that you have. Maybe it's your eating out budget. Maybe you just want one area of your business that you want to be able to, or your personal life that you want to be able to pull from your business and say, all this hard work and time I'm putting in is worth it because at least it's covering this one part of my life, okay? After that, determine the number of client-facing hours you want to have per week or per month, okay? So if you are part-time right now, so maybe you're working full-time in another job, and so you're, you know, coaching whenever you can. Maybe you've got 2 hours a week to see clients, and that's about it right now. Maybe it's a few hours on the weekend or a few hours in the evenings. Maybe you're able to do more than that, but you want to do like 20 hours a week client-facing time, because the other time you want to be working on your business, okay? So try to determine, and it's okay if it's just a guess for right now, because we're going to reevaluate this, I promise. What we're trying to do is create some baselines so that we can always adjust up or adjust down over time, but we have to start from someplace. So the next thing that you want to do, and after I get done with this, I'll look at the chat because there might be some questions coming in. So divide the expenses by the number of hours you can work. This is simply the minimum you should charge per hour. So what we're doing is sort of determining your minimum hourly rate. Okay, so if you charge less than this, you are officially paying people to coach them, is the way I want you to look at that. Okay. Now, I am not saying that you charge the client per hour. I'm saying we're going to use this knowledge to determine a program or package price. You guys have done the academy. If you're kind of new to the academy, you might not have gotten to this lesson yet, but I believe in a program model. So you're not charging per session necessarily, but what you can do after you've designed your program is you say, okay, I know this program is going to include 10 sessions, right? 10 one-hour sessions. So if my minimum hourly rate is X and I'm going to have 10 sessions, then you also want to add in, like, is there some email time between sessions? Like add in, I recommend like a 10% buffer. to that on the number of hours for the support you'll be providing, because it's definitely something that will happen, then you can calculate your program price based on that, okay? So again, that step 5 is use the minimum hourly rate to determine to calculate your program price. Otherwise, you are going to pay to help people, which is fine if that is your goal. If your goal is to do this as a ministry, that is okay. If you've done the academy, it's likely because you are doing financial coaching as a business, right? Like that is what we're kind of all about at Fiscal Fitness and the Financial Coach Academy. So chances are your goal is to have an impact, change the world and help people, and make money doing this. So it is not one or the other, and it doesn't have to be one or the other. It is both of these things. So you don't want to do this, find you're helping people, and then it's actually costing you more than what you're making, okay? So that's why we want to do it this way. This formula helps you establish the low end. You are not going to start, by probably charging this low end, but it at least gives you a starting point. Let me open up the chat really fast and see what questions we've got coming in here. Let's see. Create that habit from the beginning. Oh my gosh, I love that. Annual business expenses. What about sales tax? Is that included? It really just depends on where you live. So in Arizona, we don't have to charge sales tax on our coaching, but I know some states you do. So depending on where you're at, if that is an expense you incur, then yes, you'll want to include it. Is this for long-term programs or discovery sessions? This is for everything. Great question, Laura. So if your discovery session is 90 minutes long, what we've just done is calculate the minimum hourly rate. So we could times that by 1.5 for just the client-facing side of that session. Keep in mind all the prep work that goes into your discovery session. Now, one of the things we say all the time on our team, we know this, we call our discovery session a Eureka session. Our Eureka session is what we call a loss leader. This is a business model that corporations use all the time. I'll give you an example. A loss leader for Costco is the rotisserie chickens, okay? So their rotisserie chickens are amazing, by the way, and they're like $5 for a whole chicken, but you have to walk all the way to the back of the store to get a chicken. And what do you do when you walk through Costco? You're gonna buy a whole bunch of other stuff besides that chicken. They actually lose money on their rotisserie chickens. It's a loss leader, but it gets you into the store and they know that that loss leader is actually going to result in you buying more things that they will make money on, okay? So your discovery session model, likely you can't charge like 10 hourly rates for your discovery session. You're going to charge less, but the goal is that you get so good at them and you're only using your ideal clients that you're converting as many of them as possible and you make money on the program itself, okay? Jacqueline says you learn something new every day. Awesome. Okay, good. So let me see, I lost my track. I'm gonna start buying 3 of those chickens every time I go in. Let's see. Okay, so by thinking about the value-based pricing model and the hourly calculation model, what you just did was you determined what I call the bookends of your decision. So you know the high end of what you could charge. That's one bookend. And you know the bare minimum of what you should charge to make this business worthwhile and profitable for you. That's the other bookend. So what we want to charge or what we could charge is something in the middle. Does that make sense? So we essentially created the 2 extremes. If you are just starting out, it is likely that you'll start somewhere closer to the bare minimum calculation side of things. Start quoting somewhere in this price until you start to see firsthand results and the benefits that you get your clients. You'll start hearing from your clients things like, oh my God, I would have paid twice as much for this. Or you just saved my marriage. Or I never could have done this on my own. How will I ever do this without you? Things like that. That will validate and confirm, and ultimately it's going to help to boost the confidence that we need you to have, because again, your confidence in quoting your prices is the most important factor, okay? You don't have to believe it anymore at that stage because you start to see the proof, right? If you've been doing this for a little while, you may start a little bit higher than the bare minimum, okay? What I want you to do though is set your price and begin quoting it until you feel super confident, and then raise your price. So keep stretching yourself. I did a YouTube video, or I did a video and we put it on YouTube. I'm gonna copy and paste the link into the chat really quickly right now, all about how to raise your prices, because that's kind of like step 2, you guys, of this training. And I'll tell you why in just a second. There's the YouTube link if you guys want to copy and just bookmark that or something like that. That way you can watch it in just a little bit. So I want you to set the price, not because this price is going to be your forever price. It's not. If you are in the mindset that whatever my price is today, it's going to have to be that for a long time, I need you to shift that. This is just your starting price. You're going to do it until you start to get really good at it and you start to believe that, man, I could charge so much more than this, or even just a little bit more than this, and it would still be a no-brainer to me. Then that's when you raise your price, okay? What I want you to do is set your price, start quoting it, and then I want you to set a date or a very specific milestone of when you are going to raise your price. A milestone might look something like after my 5th client who has paid this, or after I have helped clients pay off $10,000 worth of debt, right? Or something like that. So you can set a milestone. It doesn't have to be a time frame. It can be something that's more connected to your business. So after I've made $5,000 in my business, right? So you can set a milestone such as that. So I want you to keep in mind a couple of things about pricing. Like I said, the goal is not to be perfect. If you think the price you set today is going to be perfect and you'll never have to change it, you are setting yourself up for failure with that expectation. Decide right now that the price you set is just where you're starting, and then put a reminder on your calendar to reevaluate that. Ideally, I would like for you to reevaluate in like 6 months, maybe sooner, but no longer than 6 months out, okay? The goal is not to price outside of your integrity zone. This is something that I see coaches do a lot. Quoting any price for your services, even if it's $5 and you're just starting out, it is likely that that is uncomfortable for many newer coaches. It is okay to be outside of your comfort zone. I know it was for me. I was just so bad at selling, you guys. Like, I did not know how to quote my price. I would like stumble the words. It was like diarrhea of the mouth. I just like was terrible at it. And it's reasonable to feel uncomfortable, but do not price yourself outside of your integrity zone. So I always want you sort of checking in with yourself. Like, is this a little uncomfortable? Yes. Do I believe that it's worth it? If the answer is yes, quote that price, even if it's scary, okay? If soon as you start to say like, I don't think it's worth it, you might want to just take it down a little bit, because you can always increase it later, okay? Once you actually see that proof for yourself. Before a session, you know you'll be quoting your prices. Where you know you're going to be quoting your prices, give yourself a pep talk. So this is the best deal. This is an amazing invitation I'm going to make to this client. I am so excited to work with this client, and they're going to love the opportunity, right? Like, I really want you to tell yourself that. Also, review the benefits that you outlined in that ripple effect. So write those out beforehand, and then those things help you to focus on the value and the results that you can get your clients, which are great reminders just before quoting your prices, okay? State your price and then ask clients to tell you what they think. Ask them how they feel. Ask them what hesitations they have. I want you to invite the conversation so that you are not trying to guess what they're thinking, and you are not putting onto them what your own worries or hesitations are, okay? The other thing that I just want you to keep in mind with this conversation is who your ideal client is important. So a lot of the things you guys listed on like what important factor, what is the most important factor, those are all important factors. The most important factor is your own confidence and belief in what you can do. But one of the other key factors is your ideal client, and this is a big one. So we have seen so many coaches come through the academy with like wildly varying niches, which is super cool to see. If your client just left an abusive relationship, or they're on the verge of bankruptcy, and we've seen clients or coaches that this is their niche, right? Like they want women who just left a abusive relationship, that kind of thing. We've seen coaches who say, I want somebody who's thinking about filing bankruptcy. Or are they a business owner who is trying to go from 6 figures to 7 figures, right? Like these are all things that can affect your pricing. You may hear some experts tell you that you should price your services based on value and value only, and don't ever think about whether or not your client can afford it, because that's not your problem. And in some sense, what I understand where they're coming from is that, we've had clients who we think, man, I don't know how they can afford this, but they want it so badly, they find a way. That is true for some people. I just don't buy it as a very black and white concept. It's not always the case for some people, okay? So our prices can and likely will be sometimes a stretch for the client, sure. But thinking about your ideal client when determining your price can force you to get creative in how you can serve them best. What parts of that maybe don't you need if that price is a little too high for what your client can actually afford? If that is the case, maybe you can remove a couple of aspects of your program and have them be additional add-ons later that they pay for if they choose to, okay? It's that kind of creative thinking that can come into play when you're thinking about your ideal client, and I don't think that's a bad thing, okay? So let's just recap really quickly what I want your action steps to be when determining your prices. First is calculate your value-based price. So do that exercise. I'll send out these slides tomorrow or the video tomorrow so you can, see that image again. But really think about like, what could I charge? What's the maximum amount that I could charge? Not based on what you feel is appropriate, but what you see as the benefits and the value and the impact that you have on your clients' lives and the ripple effect of that. Calculate your minimum price based on what you need to make. That's that mathematical calculation. Determine a price along that timeline or journey. So the newer you are, the closer to the bare minimum price you might need to be when you're first starting. The more experience you have, the more proof you've seen for yourself out of your own eyes with clients, the further away from that minimum figure you can probably be and closer to that value-based pricing side of things. Step 4 is set a reminder on your calendar at a set date or a set milestone, such as after the 10th client, let's say, to revisit your price and do these exercises again. At some point, your expenses could change, the amount you want to make from your business could change, the value you clearly identify that you can deliver to a client can change. So these types of things, especially at first, need to be revisited periodically. Jill and I actually just did this recently. It was like we hadn't changed our prices in years, right, Jill? And all of a sudden we were just talking, we were like, we should calculate that. And we looked at it and we were like, wow, we should probably boost those a little bit. And we did, right? So it's just one of those things. After a while, you can spread it out longer. But when you're first starting, you're probably going to be revisiting this and raising them pretty often. And that's a good thing, okay? Experience baby steps there. It'll help when you're quoting it and all of that. Last one, start selling, start helping people. Know that every time you raise your price, you will experience a whole new set of nervousness. It doesn't matter if your price is a fraction of what other coaches are charging. If it's the most that you have ever charged, you're going to be nervous quoting it, okay? It is very normal. So grant yourself some grace. Don't beat yourself up. Keep practicing it. Try to track your conversions. That's probably a training for like a whole nother time. After you start quoting it at first, take some time afterwards to reflect on what worked well during that conversation. What didn't work well? What did I say right? What did I just totally flub and I need to work on that? Give yourself that pep talk before every time you're about to quote your price. Okay. So just a reminder, the most important factor in setting your prices is your belief in that price and your belief in your ability to deliver results.